We were here at Mew Lake. You should Vanna White it, Porter. Mew Lake. We totally plan these things ahead of time. You can see we're so organized.
I think that's part of the fun of it, is just chatting.
So anyway, back on Thursday, we were just after cleaning up after Thanksgiving dinner, and the day before, and woke up and there was an Aurora alert for that night. And I said, "Hey Porter, why don't we throw the cats in the truck and go camping?" There was no notice, there was no planning. We didn't have all our supplies on hand, but luckily we'd packed a whole bunch of Thanksgiving leftovers the day before, so it wasn't that bad to pack up.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We had the RV mostly ready to go, so that was convenient.
Yeah, and he actually went along with my crazy idea.
Yeah, I usually do.
And here we are. Well, this time you didn't give me much fuss, which was amazing.
Yeah.
You do tend to argue. Anyway, so then whatever. So, like less than 7 hours after, I was like, "Hey, why don't we go camping?" We were pulling up here at our beautiful lakefront campsite that was somehow available.
Yep.
I'm still shocked. There's several available. The weather that Bracebridge got, they got like this horrible snow squalls and stuff.
They did.
So that might have helped because the campground's really peaceful because there's no people here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we came here and we did our second or third winter camping trip here.
I think second.
The second? Might have been third. I don't know. Definitely not our first though.
Yep.
So we figured we'd do a TLDR about it, and let's tell you all about our stay.
Absolutely. All right. So the first thing we've got to talk about is logistics. So we've got check-in.
Yeah, so check-in, basically, all of Algonquin Park is under a paperless permit system. So you really don't have to check in at all when you get there. If you just do your online pre-registration, you just have to say who's camping with you and give them your license plate number, and you're good to go straight to your site.
Yeah, it's pretty nice to pass right by the gate and go right to your site, especially, this trip, we were there just after their opening hours, so we would have been a bit out of luck, or we would have had to rush to get there before they close.
Yeah, on that note, be sure to book your site ahead of time, especially if you think you might be there after they close. We showed up at our site and there was someone in our site, and it was 5 o'clock or something. So it wasn't just that, we showed up right at 2 and they were taking long to get out. They'd actually shown up hoping to book on the spot, and they didn't. They showed up after the office had closed, so they just decided to camp on our site. So if you're going to do that, well, I mean, you shouldn't do that. You should definitely book online, but I'm still blown away that they chose like one of the nicest waterfront sites rather than just, like, oh, I'm going to go camp in this corner, like go take take an electric site, obviously, if you need it, because it was cold, but like, I don't know. The assumption that, oh, this site's going to be fine and it's just the big waterfront one was odd.
It was especially frustrating because it was starting to get dark and we were trying to get in and get settled before it got dark. And so then we pull up and we have to wait for them to pull up and leave, and I'm losing my light,
Yeah, it's rude. They were nice enough about it, but like,
yeah.
I just feel like if you're going to find yourself in a situation like that, maybe don't go for the premium site, because, all of the sites that were in the trailer section, like the electric section, that weren't waterfront, mostly were empty. I don't think I saw anyone camping no, there was like one or two, but generally speaking, like those sites were not being used. So
yeah,
I don't know, book ahead, save everyone a headache, In terms of logistics, also, there's the map. So the map for Mew Lake, Mew Lake's the only campground that's open in Algonquin during the winter, by the way. So the Mew Lake map is just part of the overall big like newspaper and map that Algonquin has. One thing to note, though, is during the summer, there are a bunch of little, what do you call those, like newspaper kiosks?
Yeah.
Like those little
dispenser.
When newspapers were a thing.
Yeah.
They are not topped up in the winter, apparently. So you will definitely want to go into Eastgate or Westgate to get a map if you don't already have one. We have several because we've been to Algonquin like a million times by now. So
they did have them posted at the gate of our campground. So
we took a photo. Yeah.
So we took a photo of it.
I'm saying if you want one, on hand though.
It's
Like
definitely nice to have one
Eastgate or
on hand.
Westgate. The signage to get around. So the signage to get around the actual park is great. I mean, you get almost too much notice when you're coming up on something.
Yeah, it's a good probably 600 or 800 meters in advance. It'll say Mule Lake Campground coming up, and it's like you start slowing down and you realize, oh, it's still a ways up.
Yeah, and it's like that for almost everything, I think, you
Yep.
know, like, so that's good. The nice thing is the big attractions, like the visitor center and stuff, tend to have a turn off lane also for it, so you can kind of tell when it's coming up. But the signage for so from the street, it's great. Within the campground itself, it could be better. You know, they're very small signs. They're not very high contrast. But it's mostly all you need is. That's the thing is it only really shows where the campsite numbers are. Like I don't think I ever
Yeah.
saw any that say like here's where the beach is or whatever. But it's a really small campground, so it almost doesn't matter. You'll definitely want a map though to like get acquainted with it the first time. But once you've driven around once, you can find your way around. It's easy. Uh, so anything else about maps and signage?
I think we're
I don't
good.
think so. So water and waste. Interesting situation there.
Yeah, we lucked out in that the waste was open for us. In the winter, it is dependent upon the weather, right? So we had a little bit of snow and it was still passable, so we were able to dump. The water, however, was turned off for us, and this was right at the end of November. So we had to get our water from the comfort station. They are set for this pretty well in that they have an outdoor faucet just outside the laundry room, and it's about 2 feet up, I want to say. So we were able to put a bucket under there easily. I think you could hook a hose up there if you wanted, and it worked for us just great.
It seemed to go really fast. You must have had decent water pressure there.
Yeah, it was pretty good flow, so I was happy with that.
They also have one in the laundry room, but that's not the one we used.
Right.
Back to the dump station though. Don't work under the assumption that it's open because this is actually the first time we've seen it in winter where any of it was open. Also, there's a pretty steep hill to get up there and it can be really icy. So, in general, I would plan not to expect the dump station to be open. And then something to keep in mind on that front is that the two campsites and campgrounds closest to Algonquin are Arrowhead and
Silent Lake.
Silent Lake. Neither one of them have their dump stations open in the winter. So you're definitely going to want to plan ahead if you're planning on dumping and filling. So definitely fill at home if you can. And then when it comes to dumping, you're probably going to need to find something outside of the provincial park system unless you happen to be near like McGregor or something that stays open. We got stuck on one of our trips last year. We took a few winter trips and we had planned on, I'm pretty sure it was Killbear. And then we called ahead to make sure because there was nothing on their site about it not having the dump station open. We found out at the last minute while we were at Arrowhead that Killbear didn't have theirs open. So we ended up having to hire a private company to come out and meet us in like a municipal parking lot somewhere. Yep. It was awkward and it was weird and it was kind of an emergency at that point because we didn't find out till the last minute.
And not cheap.
No, it was like $100 or something, wasn't it?
It was a little over 100.
Was it over 100? Yeah, it was. So, but the stress of it, because we were at Arrowhead and it was a weekend, and trying to call around and find people that we could do, and some of them were like, "Oh, we don't do it on these days, but we do it on these days." And we were like heading out at that point, so it can be really stressful. It's something you definitely take for granted in the summer and spring and whatever that there's going to be dump stations, but yeah, definitely plan ahead for that. So I think that's it for water. Oh, there's a decent sized garbage and recycling center pretty close to the comfort station as far as water and waste goes.
Yep.
So next up is snowplowing.
So the highway is kept up very well. So I have not really seen any major issues. We did see snowfall here, and they plowed the highway right away.
Mm-hmm.
All the side roads take a little bit of time. So I think they come out when the light comes up. So I know a lot of times, like in the city, you know, there'll be snow plowing at 2, 3 in the morning to be clear by morning. Here, you know, the light comes up and then they start plowing. So we did run into an issue last year with our pretty small car where we were coming back to the campground very early because we were looking for wildlife, and the snowplow on the highway had pushed up a bunch of snow and we ended up getting stuck. Luckily for us, the snowplow was like 5 minutes behind us. They cleared it out and it was not too big of a deal. but that was something to watch for.
Yeah, plan for emergency leg day. I was pushing the car. So, yeah, when they do the snow plowing in the park, like in the campground, it was really good.
Yes,
But
they did a great job.
it's one of those things that when they do it, it's fantastic. Like it was pristine. But if it hasn't been plowed yet, it can be a bit of an issue. One thing to keep in mind logistically, where we are talking about the winter camping here, is during our stay, and this was a last minute stay. We hadn't planned on this. It was kind of a throw the cats in the truck and let's go. I did not look at the weather ahead of time at all. Like the only thing I looked up was that the night we were arriving, it was supposed to be a chance of aurora. So I looked for cloud cover. I did not think to look up weather. So it started snowing a bit when we came up Highway 11. And then we got to our campsite, and Highway 11 very shortly closed down and was a massive emergency situation after that.
Closed down for days.
For days, it's still like we're not even at Algonquin anymore, and we spent 3 days there, and it's not open yet. So that's been interesting to watch. But I would say definitely before you head out to Algonquin, apparently that whole strip of highway is a serious deal for traffic and for weather conditions. So consider the weather en route to the campground in the winter as well as in your stay.
Right.
For us, we were lucky in that we didn't get stuck in the traffic. Like there's people that have been stuck on the highway for days. We were able to head east out of the campground and then south to Silent Lake. We just kind of extended our trip out before heading home. So you might need to get creative with your route to or from the campground depending on the weather. So definitely check the weather. And as we learned this time, Ontario 511 has an app that is very helpful as far as road conditions go.
Yes.
So enough on snow plowing, I guess. Oh no, you know what we should talk about is that they triage their snow plowing. The areas like the visitor center get plowed, like 100% get plowed. Not necessarily like 100% coverage. Like I noticed the day we left, they kind of plowed the perimeter of that parking lot, but I think they come back and do the rest.
Right.
But they definitely try to make the most popular areas passable first. I don't think they plow the parking lots for all of the trails, and I definitely think they plow the more popular ones first. One trail we did, the Whiskey Rapids Trail. Do you want to talk about getting up there?
Yeah, it has a significant hill. It's not that long, not that steep really, but it had just snowed and we have a small car, so I was not able to get up. A little scary backing up, once I realized I wasn't going to make it because there is a turn and it's pretty steep on particularly the right side.
A steep drop off.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to go sailing off the end of this.
Right, exactly. So backed up and tried again, and I think it took me 4 or 5 times to get up.
Yeah, no, it was probably 7 or 8 times.
Anyway, I was able to get up there, but I kind of had to make a path up there, and every time I'd get a little further and be able to safely go a little bit faster just because there was a path I was following now. So basically I kind of took it, the safe route to get up, but it still took a while. And just be aware that can be an issue. I know a lot of people that have RVs have big trucks because they're pulling trailers. Yeah. So you probably won't have as much of an issue if that's the case. But
depending on the amount of snow, though, like I'd say one thing to keep in mind is whenever you're venturing out from the campground to a trail or to an attraction, just keep in mind that you might want a backup plan in that general area because you could get there and be out of luck.
Yeah, there were a couple of side roads that we saw that we didn't even want to try just because it's like, you know what? It doesn't look like we're going to make it in our little car.
We're talking early in the season. Like there were, centimeters of snow on the ground. Right. So if this was February and there was a foot of snow on the ground, like you might just be creative. If you drive to the other end of the park and campground to see one thing, you might want to see if another lot is empty if you can't get into where you want to go. Connectivity.
Yeah, connectivity is hit and miss. There's some spots in our campground where we're able to get pretty good connection.
Right around the water. Like the waterfront campsites we've had good luck with for the connection.
there's been a few times when we've had really poor connection.
Yeah, all the other sites.
Yeah, all the other sites, and even some of the other areas that we've visited.
Yeah.
We've had some poor connection. We use Rogers, by the way.
And sometimes it's completely nonsensical because you'll be on one of like the really popular trails and there'll be none. And you'll be, right next to the highway and there won't be any. But then you can go off in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you've got a signal. So
yeah, I guess it just maybe your elevation goes up a little bit and get over the tree line. I don't know what it is, but
yeah,
it's hit and miss. Though the one thing to keep in mind is if you want a rock solid connection, go to the visitor center. We've always
Yeah.
had really good luck there.
like in the parking lot
Yes.
specifically. Like we don't really go into the visitor center for connection, but if we need to work, like get any photos uploaded to the site or anything, pulling up in the visitor center parking lot's been really consistent.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have Wi-Fi. I don't remember, but
I think they do.
We're just talking about our cell reception just happens to be really good right
Yeah.
there.
So if you find yourself stuck because the highway is closed down to the east of or to the west of you, and you want to call a campground elsewhere, you might want to go to the visitor center to make your alternate arrangements. All right, accessibility I'll talk about because Porter's one of those able-bodied people. So basically, when it comes down to it, there are some accessible options in the campground in the winter, but not enough to really make it worthwhile if you're a wheelchair user, in my opinion. The visitor center is wheelchair accessible, and the comfort station is wheelchair accessible. I mean, you got to deal with the snowy parking lot that's not necessarily always plowed perfectly. But beyond that, there's really nothing that is. The wheelchair accessible trails are not wheelchair accessible in the winter. One becomes a snowshoe path, and it's not in any way accessible. And the other one doesn't get plowed, so you're just going through, whoever's walked there before you.
And even at the visitor center, when you go off to the side to look,
they don't plow that.
Exactly, the little side you can get in the visitor center, but the side branch is just like Marie said, a walking path where people have stomped on, and you're not going to be able to get through there well.
I think generally speaking, like their snow removal is geared under the assumption that people have some degree of mobility, like a degree of mobility, because they'll leave some snow. There might be like snow piles that you have to step over or whatever. So you're going to want to have a decent amount of mobility to camp in the winter. If you're partially disabled, like I am, know that the easy trails are far less easy in the winter. So we were actually able to walk the Spruce Bog boardwalk.
Yep.
Because it's not plowed and it's not shoveled or anything, it's pretty difficult on my ankle tendons because your foot's kind of wobbling in all directions and everything. And it's a fair walk. It's like 1.5 kilometers, I think. But basically assume that any trail bumps up a degree in difficulty. So we did one that was moderate. It was kind of difficult in places,
Yep.
Overall, I'd say if you have mobility issues, plan to keep yourself entertained in your RV. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
And you might get snowed in also, which gives another layer of inaccessibility.
Yes.
So pets.
We've seen quite a few dogs here.
Yeah, lots of dogs this day, specifically. A lot of big, fluffy dogs.
Yeah.
So we're really happy with the amount of snow coming out of the trees.
Definitely.
That was cute to see.
There is a dog beach just kind of down past the waterfront sites.
It's just on the other side of the beach from the waterfront sites near, I think that's a non-electric area.
Okay.
It's a really small, like even in the summertime, it's a very, very small beach. I don't know that anyone would use it at this time of year because the water's not frozen yet, but it's covered enough that I don't even know if that would be safe to use because it was a postage stamp,
Yeah.
But the dogs are allowed on all the trails except for Mizzy Lake, and you just have to keep them leashed and pick up after them and all the basic rules there.
Yep, definitely.
So parking, I guess we kind of addressed that with the snow plows. There's a decent amount of parking where you need it to be. You lose some of the parking in the comfort station in the winter because it gets converted to a skating rink. But generally speaking, especially in the winter, there's so few people in Algonquin that all of the parking lots are really big for what they need to be.
Yeah, I haven't seen any issues with parking. Like there's some overflow parking in the campsite here, and they had that plowed out. So I think you're going to be totally fine for parking.
Yeah. washrooms, etc. So we did end up using the vault toilets last winter,
Yes.
and those were in pristine condition. The vault toilets we used at some of the trails and at the visitor center. Or no, it wasn't the visitor center. Where was it that we went?
Yeah, the logging museum.
They were all pristine in the winter. That's the nice thing about people not being nearby.
Right.
They were clean. Like, I hate outhouses so much, and I don't mind them in the winter. And there's no bugs. There's no smell.
They do maintain them. I saw an employee walking in there with sanitizer just yesterday.
It's just nice that they don't have the gross.
Yeah.
And like the compiled gross, because there's like the smell and then there's the heat and there's just none of it. So it's so much nicer. It's just everything about outhouses are so gross, and this is just not. It's just they're cold. It's the only thing. So you might get a cold butt, but whatever. I'll take a cold butt over smell and bugs. Anyway,
on a lighter note,
let's talk about smelly cold butts. Anyway, the comfort station is available and it's heated, and it's got flush toilet, showers, laundry, like basically what you can expect.
Yep, definitely.
Not much to say there,
Right.
And as we said, it's also where you go for your water. So Aurora viewing.
Yeah. So we were drawn out here by Aurora, but the forecast, I should say, originally on this trip.
That was a dud.
Yeah, the weather didn't cooperate. The show didn't cooperate. It didn't work out, but it was fine because we had a great time. And
so as far as if you are going, though, we should talk about. So a lot of the areas that are good for aurora viewing in general are not great for aurora viewing in the winter.
Right.
So Algonquin Park in general is in a very low area, a very low light pollution area. So it's fantastic for sky watching, but you're generally going to want a north-facing view with a far-off horizon for aurora. Now, the thing is, our favorite place for aurora viewing, each of the best places for aurora viewing, really, along the Highway 60 corridor on the north side of the highway. All of those are gated. So Canis Bay Lake and like Kearney and all that, they're all gated. So you're not going to be able to get to them. So in Mew Lake itself, in the area kind of between the hydro waterfront sites and then that offshoot, I forget which campground that's called. The one that's almost on a peninsula in the lake. Right in between there's kind of a crook that's north facing. That is your best bet for aurora viewing in Mew Lake. Now, the thing to note is that the highway is north of you there. It is mostly blocked by trees, but you might get some intermittent light source from traffic in the way of aurora. If you have a big overhead show, though, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we had tried the beach at one point in a different state, didn't we?
No, we went to, you're thinking Lake of
Two Rivers?
Yeah, Lake Lord of the Rings.
Which is which is not open then.
Which is also gated, yeah. Okay. So best bet is really that one kind of south end of that Mew Lake.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So park store. All the park stores are closed. Like
oh right, all the third party.
Yeah, because there's like Opiongo and the Lake of Two Rivers, and then the other one that I keep forgetting the name of, and I think they changed it anyway. So all of the actual park stores are closed. If you need groceries or anything like that, you have to go to Whitney or like Huntsville on the way in. Buy extra groceries because we did not. So
right, you might extend your stay a day or two, like we
did.
If
you're in the winter, definitely plan for a couple extra days. We didn't do that, and that's definitely a lesson we're learning this time. In terms of general park store stuff, the east and west gates are open, but that's just going to be if you want the park sticker or like general Ontario Parks merchandise. It's not like the big supplies run.
Right. You're not going to really get your groceries there.
No. So the visitor center is open. As we mentioned earlier, the plowing on that side trail thing, the fire tower trail walk isn't the best. But the visitor center is open, and it is one of the nicer ones. It's kind of a museum experience.
Yes, it is. We didn't go in on this trip. We've been in there in the past, and it's really nice.
I don't know what to say. The big thing I remember about that one was the they have these displays where they've got kind of a mannequin with a blank face, like a cloth.
Right.
Yeah,
creepy.
It was so creepy. Like flat, blank, I don't know, canvas face. And they project faces onto it with video that are talking, and it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a horror movie kind of thing, which is kind of amusing to watch, but yeah.
Make a point. We're going to say this and watch them have taken it out or something, but no, if you go there, it's just stand there and kind of give video of it. It's so creepy. But I mean, there's beautiful displays, and it's really nicely accessible, and they've got a cafe up top. I don't know if that's open in the winter, and there's a viewing platform up there, and again, I don't know if that's open during the winter or not, but it's a really nice visitor center in general.
It is.
So campsite details.
Yeah, so we mentioned they plow out really well on the roads, but they also plow out the campsites. I remember that from our last trip.
Yeah, and they put pylons on the fire pits so that they don't hit them. So that's nice that you don't go to a mangled fire pit.
Oh, and when you're backing your rig in, you don't hit them also. So that is really nice.
What's nice about the camping at Mew Lake is there's not a lot of people that do camp in the winter, so it's a lot easier to get sites than it was. As I mentioned, like we booked for a weekend, and we booked the morning we went because I woke up at 7 o'clock and I was like, "Hey, let's go camping." And there were multiple waterfront sites available for the entire trip, so that was amazing. So that would not happen in the summer. There's no way you're waking up on a Thursday and saying, "Hey, let's go camping for the weekend," and get like 3 days of waterfront site anywhere.
Yep.
So it's really nice. There's so many reasons I prefer winter camping to summer. But they do have the waterfront sites available. They all have electricity. There are also electrical sites between there and the comfort station. But what surprised me is they have the non-electric sites open also. We saw a lot of tent campers around that loop.
Yeah, I personally, even if I were tent camping, would want that electricity just to...
God, even more so.
Yeah, like keep your space heater going, at least during the day.
Ooh.
I understand if you don't want it going during the night.
Like we're in an RV and had a heat on and everything, and it was cold when we woke up. So more props to them. I wouldn't do it. So activities. The big one for us is hiking, and I don't know that they have all the hiking trails open during the winter because it's hard to tell because as I've mentioned, a lot of the hiking trailhead parking lots don't ever seem to be plowed when we get there. So I don't know if they just assume that the longer, harder trails don't get used. And I could see that because who wants to... That could be dangerous.
I can see that too, but on the other hand, none of them were gated off that I saw.
So that's not really a good place to put a gate. I don't know. So basically...
But you could put a temporary barrier thing up. So I think they maybe just don't, like we were saying earlier, they don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
So they're not encouraging it.
So the trails we did 6, there are 5 trails this time.
Yes.
So the Logging Museum Trail is the furthest one from the campground that we did.
Yes, the Logging Museum itself was closed, but that was the trail's wide open, and it's awesome. I love it.
I skipped over the thing with the visitor center. So the visitor center, we talked about the visitor center itself. There's 2 other buildings that kind of serve as visitor center. It's the Logging Museum and the Art Center, and both of those are closed for the season. So you can do the Logging Museum Trail, but the actual museum itself is closed.
Yeah, which is fine by me because that trail is awesome.
Well, we've never even been in there because that museum, I don't know what's in the building.
We need to find out.
Do we?
I
don't know. Well, the thing is where their museum is all equipment. Like the big displays are all outside.
Right.
So the museum itself, like to me, is on the outside. I think it's kind of like a little welcome center or something there, but I don't think there's going to be a museum in there. I think it's more like there's probably a gift boutique or something. It's a really small building, but in any case, it is not open in the winter.
Right, but there is a vault toilet. You mentioned that earlier. So
yep, in the parking lot. A non-smelly, non-gross, no bugs. Cold butt, yep. So anyways, the Logging Museum Trail was gorgeous,
Yeah, absolutely. Not only was it just the winter wonderland, but then you see all the attractions, which to me are really cool. They've got the log cabins that they've built, various types of log structures. And you want me to jump to the end?
Yeah, what was your big draw?
The train.
The train.
There's a train. So you'll see a couple of the logging trucks or tractors, I think it is first. And then that train's coming, which is really cool.
The horses though were covered. Because they've got these like horse.
Fake horses.
I don't know what you call them. Like not statues. I guess they're statues.
Yeah, we call them
like
statues.
Horse statues or whatever that are shown like to be pulling the logs and whatnot, and they're all covered so you can't see them. But other than that, everything was totally visible, just a small cover of snow. But the trail itself is really nice also. Like it was winter wonderland when we were there, and the snow was like dusting on everything, and it looked like a postcard or something.
The whole thing is set up so there's a place to view, like a setup, and then you go like maybe 200 meters up to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's very kind of ADD friendly from that standpoint.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the nature part of it. It's like you walk through these big woods, and like there was a canopy of trees that were all covered in snow and everything. And fairly early on in the trail, you come to this big opening with a lake.
Yeah.
And then there's like a log chute there, and that was open, like the water. It was not a waterfall, but it was running. So it's just there's a lot of beauty there that's not trains.
And there's the train though, but that's the thing. There's both.
And Porter is a train autistic.
And the tractors are really cool, and all the log sleds. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And the train.
And the train.
Choo choo.
You can go up on the train too, so he was pretty thrilled about that.
Absolutely.
You're such a dork. Anyway, the old railway trail is open. That is, generally speaking, it is a biking and walking trail. I don't know if you want to bike on that in the winter. It looked like it was probably plowed to some degree from what we could see from the section we did. You have those fat wheel winter bike things. I bet that would be fun there. But I don't know the general condition throughout it, because the thing about that trail is it connects a bunch of campgrounds. We didn't go very far from our campground, but the other campgrounds that it connects to are closed for the season. So I don't know that they'd bother. So I don't know. Definitely explore it if you want to. But that's a wide, flat trail. And like I said, the area we went to was pretty clear.
Yeah.
You're not going to see bears at this time of year, though. The Provoking Falls Trail. So this one's not... It's not a listed trail on the website or anything like that, but there's a trail from New Lake Campground to Provoking Waterfall. When you access that to the left of the garbage bins near the comfort station, and it's just a little trail. It's about 1 kilometer out and 1 kilometer back.
Yep.
Very easy. Basically, this little trail goes directly to the railway trail, and you turn right. You go up a short way until that intersects with what was the name of the backpacking trail? Whatever that backpacking trail was, it Highlands or something? Or
that might be it.
You turn left on the backpacking trail, and you're almost there at that point. And it was beautiful.
Absolutely. Everything about all the trails are, but that one was particularly nice, and Provoking Falls themselves is always beautiful.
So the bridge at Provoking Falls is the jankiest bridge I've seen anywhere, and you have to walk across it to get closer to the waterfall. It seemed a little bit less ridiculous this time, but you figured out why.
Yeah, so there's a sign on there, which has been there the entire time we've gone to Algonquin, that says only one user on the bridge at a time. And I would definitely recommend you take that seriously. The supporting logs are actually logs. They're not like cut beams. They're just trees that have been felled. And it is fairly sturdy for one, but I wouldn't want to group on there. We did see some shoring up supports on one side. So apparently, I don't know if there was a crack or if it was just...
Well, it was probably because the reason I found it so awful last time was there was a really steep incline to one side.
Yeah.
And that was kind of scary. And he says the entire time we've been going there. Well, the first time we went there was this summer that we discovered that falls. So back in the summer, they had the sign saying...
Fair.
One person. Well, I mean...
it looks like it had been there for a while.
Oh, definitely, for sure. But we don't have a ton of experience there, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, the whole bridge was leaning really bad to one side. Like you'd walk and it was like walking in one of those like tipsy-turvy rooms in a children's museum or something. Yeah. And that seemed way less so this time. It seemed more sturdy, but it was probably because it had those beam support things.
They had post jacks in the water supporting.
That's the word, yeah.
Yeah, supporting part of it up. So that made it a lot lot more
I wonder
rigid.
how long that bridge is going to last if they're doing that, though, because that kind of seemed like a temporary fix, you know?
Yeah, I hope it's due for replacement. I loved it, the history of it. I don't know how old it is,
Yeah,
but you got to put safety first.
but it's beautiful.
It is.
Okay, next up is Spruce Bog Boardwalk Trail.
One of my
I
favorites.
actually said it that time. I
You
always have
did.
hard time.
I like
So
to call
anyways,
it the boardwalk just because it kind of
the
just
boardwalk.
combines everything.
That's easier. So, anyways, it's always beautiful. This is the first time we've been able to walk it in the winter, though, because last time it was a snowshoe trail.
Yes.
So, it's not necessarily going to be a walking trail at all points during the year. But it was beautiful. The water level had dropped a lot since our summer trip.
Yes.
The summer trip was a bit messy because part of the boardwalk was like submerged as you walked over it, and that wasn't an issue this time, thankfully, because that would have been cold.
It would have.
Um,
And probably dangerous because icy.
yeah. So yeah, there was no ice on the boardwalk. It was just a very nice walk. Like I said in the accessibility section, if you have any kind of like tendon issues in your ankles, it is a bit rougher walking because they don't actually shovel it. It's just trampled down from people, so it's not a really even walk for the most part. But yeah, just beautiful walk.
Definitely.
Whiskey Rapids Trail. We haven't done this trail before this time.
Right.
So I think it's going to kind of wreck us for doing it any other time.
It will.
And so you have to understand, we did this trail right after some degree of snow, and I think it was lightly snowing when we went there. Everything looked like a Christmas card. It looked fake. It looked like it was some AI representation of a Hallmark movie. Like it could have been generated as like the B-roll footage for a Hallmark Christmas. It was surreal.
Absolutely. So yeah, I absolutely loved it because of that. The views were stunning. I highly recommend it if it has snowed and you get the snow lingering on the branches and everything.
Yeah.
And we had the like glittery effect of the snow because
Yeah,
it was really
it's a
light
little
and
bit
puffy.
sunny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just great.
And the trees kind of grow over the trail overhead, so you have this kind of like canopy arch of snowy snow cover. It was beautiful. Well, now we say this and people are going to go there and it's going to be like nothing. It's just going to be like dead trees or whatever. But I'm going to have a hard time going in like the summer or the fall or the fall might be really pretty if the leaves change.
There's a lot of pine trees there.
Oh
still,
yeah,
but
so it might not be great for fall colors, but like I'm going to have a hard time seeing anything measuring up to what it looked like in the winter. Like that was amazing. Now it is a bit of a difficult trail.
it is.
It starts out with a really steep decline. It was icy and uneven, and I slid at one point, like down. That wasn't fun. But once you get down, then it's relatively even for the bulk of the walk. So basically, the first 2/3 of the walk, like after you get past the downhill, I'd say the next half to 2/3 of the walk is just relatively level along the lake. There's a couple areas where there's steps. There's a couple areas of boardwalk, but it's not really hilly or anything.
I agree, but there are some small sections of like you'll go up a little bit and then down a little bit, and with it being covered in snow, you couldn't really see that the trail isn't like perfectly flat.
Yeah, and there's roots and stuff, so you definitely want to be careful where you step.
Then that's the thing is your footing is not always the most secure, so you'd have to be a little bit careful. And again, that might have been because of the snow.
You're definitely going to want to wear really grippy boots, and you're going to want to make sure they're waterproof boots, because there were a couple points where we had to step over flowing water, or that there were puddles that you couldn't see because they were hidden or whatever. So, and there was that one part towards the end. Like basically you walk out along the river for the most part, and then you come to the rapids. The rapids, by the way, are really underwhelming. Really, really underwhelming. So honestly, all the river views up till that point were stunning, and the rapids are kind of like, oh, okay.
It was kind of like, yeah, that's neat. Okay, great.
It was very anticlimactic after all, because you think rapids are going to be like the stunning showpiece, and it was just kind of like a little... Yeah, I was like almost like a little wave.
I was picturing something that's like almost considered a waterfall.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's named Whiskey Rapids after all, you know, so you'd think it would be something, but it was kind of more just like a little break in the water, you know?
Right.
So manage your expectations. Like when you see all those gorgeous views on the way there, that's your gorgeous views. So then at the point you hit the rapids, you turn kind of away from the river and head back towards the campground. That's a much shorter, I think it's probably about the third of the walk instead of half.
Yep.
Just kind of beelines towards the parking lot. There was a point there where there was a weird section where we couldn't tell which direction we were supposed to go, and we had to kind of cross over water that was hidden, and I would basically just have waterproof footwear that's grippy and ideally kind of high in the ankle.
I completely
Anything
agree.
else you'd say? And again, there's the parking situation there, so
Yeah.
like the hill to get up was something. Anyway, so that was it for the hiking trails.
Yep.
Birding, wildlife, and nature. This was, oh my god.
we hit the jackpot on this trip.
Well, let's start with the birding because
Sure.
that ended up being the least of it this time.
Yeah, we did not hit the birding jackpot on this
No. In general, so what happens is the visitor center ends up being kind of like the big place to go to for birding in the winter because they put bird feeders up and then they attract all kinds of cool stuff. We left on December 1st, so that was before they didn't have the bird feeders up at the time we left. We checked the morning we left.
Yeah, the staff said they put it up generally about December 1st. So I don't know.
But we ran into that couple that also mentioned December 1st, so that must be
Yeah.
like a known thing, you know, because
Sure.
they were looking forward to seeing this. So there you can see evening grosbeak, pine grosbeak, pine siskin, and crossbills is what I'd had is that what we'd seen on previous trips. We'd also seen Canada jays. This trip, we mostly saw blue jays and chickadees.
Yes.
So many chickadees. Oh my god, we should talk about the chickadees. On Spruce Bog. See, they got eclipsed because we saw the chickadees early in our trip, and then we hit the jackpot. But
Yeah.
those chickadees on the bog trail,
They kind of swarm you. And it's they'll be like 5 to 10 around flying around in trees, and they'll kind of dive bomb you or
yeah, if
torpedo
you put
past
your
you.
hand out, like if you extend a finger out, they will land on it. And they'll land on it and then hop up your arm. Like Porter had one hop and just kind of walk up his arm and look him straight in the face. I thought he was going to give him a kiss or something. No, he went right towards your face. So like that is really cute. But yeah, they're super, super friendly and just adorable. There were some nuthatches along the way.
Yes.
Some crows, ravens. Mostly blue jays were in our campground.
Yes.
And they were trolling the pine martens.
So yeah, the pine martens like to hang out by the garbage.
In New Lake, yep.
Yep, it's apparently a known thing. A lot of people had mentioned that.
We had never seen one before this trip.
Right. I know we had looked before, but this time we definitely saw them a lot. We were out there 3 or 4 times.
Well, before we didn't know where to see them, so it was just kind of we'd look in the trees as we were walking on a trail or whatever. But this time, walking back on the Provoking Falls trail, and someone told us, "Oh, there's pine martens by the garbage." So we're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we went there, and within seconds, there were 3 of them, just running around. God, they're so cute.
Yeah, so they can actually climb into the garbage cans, which we got to witness several times as one would crawl in, grab a slice of old pizza, and run out with it up.
Well, a chunk of pizza. He didn't bring the whole slice.
Oh, right, but the leftover crust.
Yeah. But it was a big piece of crust, though.
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear he wasn't like dragging a whole slice. That would have been cute.
That would have been cuter.
These things are so cute. It's not even fair how cute they are. I really wanted to bring one home. He's just no, they were so cute. And the best is they growl.
I know.
So apparently they're vicious. But they look adorable. So you just see this cute little thing with these little ears that you want to pull because they're so cute. And he's up the tree, he's just growling at you. And it's like, buddy, you're not fooling anyone. You're a little cutie pie, whatever. So those were cute. So aside from the pine martens, anything you want to say about pine martens?
Oh, definitely go see.
So cute.
They are so cute is basically the answer. Just watch them running around the tree. It's awesome.
Jumping. So they jump. So you know those videos you see of red pandas? Yeah. You didn't get to see this because you were looking at a different one or you were doing the bird or something. Because there were blue jays that were trolling the pine martens. So I think the pine martens thought they were being big, swift hunters going after these blue jays. And you could tell the blue jays were landing in such a way to tease the pine martens. And then they just fly away. Blue jays are jerks, though. So
they are.
They really are. But I watched for a while. They were definitely trolling the pine martens. Where was I going with this? Oh, so so Porter was photographing a blue jay at one point, and this one pine martin, he was running into part of this snow-covered pine. And you know those videos where there's like the red pandas that like jump and they're playing in the snow and they like somersault and stuff? If you picture that up in a pine tree that's covered in snow, that's exactly what that pine martin looked like. It was so cute. Freaking cute. You got to see it. Anyway, there was also the beaver.
Yep. So we went down to the Apiongo Road.
Yep.
And even though the outfitters down there are closed and the road is closed off
part way,
yeah, maybe 2 kilometers down, you can get to this like marshy area, which is apparently well known because we've seen a few photographers out there.
It's just past the bridge.
Yeah. So there was this adorable little beaver, maybe 10 meters away from the road tops. He didn't care that we were there. We got to stand there and photograph and video him for quite a while. He was just having a snack.
Numbing around. Oh, he was so cute. And then we went back the next day, and he actually came up on the road.
Yeah, I missed the shot. There was another photographer that really lucked out and got great shots there.
Yeah, she was just crouched in the road, and he was like right in front of her, just hanging out.
Yeah.
We missed it. So that was cute. But there was the big jackpot that we hit. So the day we were leaving, the morning of, we drove out because we wanted to see how the roads were. Because it was all that talk of the snow and everything, and we knew that there'd been some degree of the road being covered, so we wanted to just kind of see what the situation was before we pulled up. So we were driving out, we were just having casual conversation. I don't even think I was really looking for moose at that point because we were kind of engrossed in like, well, what happens if there's snow, da da da. And all of a sudden I look over and there's a moose. And I did not have any composure at the time. So I wasn't like, oh, hey, there's a moose there. It was like, moose, there's a moose, Porter, there's a moose. It's got horns. And I said horns. I didn't say antlers. I said, it's got horns. but there's a moose. So we pulled over and there was a big moose there. And he had antlers.
Yeah, he was massive. And
That was not massive.
Okay, I think he was large. I think for the area, he was large.
So for reference here, I lived in Newfoundland for several years, and Ontario moose seemed to be significantly smaller than some of the moose I saw out there. Like they'd look, yeah.
Well, he was bigger than I was picturing, put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And yeah, again, he didn't really care too much that we were there. He was side-eyeing us.
He trotted away from you at one point.
Yeah, he kind of side-eyed us and didn't really like us, but he didn't really seem too concerned. So we got to watch him for quite a while.
So we followed him down the road a little bit until he came out of clearing and then started walking towards us, which was amazing. But the best part about this whole interaction, I think, was, so I was in the car. So we're pulled up on the south side of the road. And he was on the south side of the road over by where the, it wasn't the entrance to the East Beach, but it was near there. So he was up this road and I'm taking photos out of the car, window facing him, out of the passenger side. And Porter's on the ground kind of in front of me and to the right a little bit. So we're both photographing this moose and I see like something out of the corner of my eye flash and I didn't know what was going on. And this fox had come out of nowhere walking up behind Porter. Like just like nothing, came right up to you.
I was crouched down for really low shots and I see something out of the side of my eye. I look over and 2 meters away is this fox.
He was a lot closer to you than 2 meters. He walked right up to you though.
No, I know. He came closer. I'm saying I saw him when I didn't see him until he was 2 meters away. And yeah, he was kind of circling around me a little bit. Adorable little dude.
He was so cute. Oh my god! And the moose was interested in him.
Yeah, the moose got real interested. I don't know,
but it was chaos there. It was I feel bad because like I could have gotten the most amazing video of this moose walking up to Porter while he's photographing him, and then zoom out to the fox running up to him and zooming out to the moose that wasn't that far behind him. Right, and I don't know what happened if I didn't hit video or if I hit the other one or stopped it, but I totally botched that. So anyways, there's this chaos going on. I'm trying to like get this video of, oh my god, there's a fox came out of nowhere. And then the moose starts walking towards us.
Yeah.
So it's like, get in the car. So he starts coming into the car. The moose is the fox is following you. Like, I don't know if he wants to get in the car or what. You seem to kind of have to shoo him off. Like, was he trying to get in the car with you or?
He was trying to get too close. Like I knew, like, of course I wish I could pet him, right? But for his own good, like he's not supposed to go up to people. No. We don't want that. we don't want them to go up to cars either.
Definitely not.
This is a highway. So I was trying to politely be like,
no,
go away. I like you, but go away. So as I get in the car, apparently I drop my glove because all of a sudden I see this fox trotting off with my glove in his mouth. And I was like, hey, I opened the door. I'm like, hey. And he kind of got scared from that and dropped it. And I was able to retrieve my glove.
And this is on a major highway. And like after he dropped the glove, a car passed by. So it's like, we're trying to keep this fox out of the road. And he's just messing around. Like, I don't know what was going on. He just wanted to play, I guess. But God, it was cute. And this whole time I'm trying to keep an eye on the moose because I don't like, he's a big male moose. And I'd just seen a trail rating where someone had said like a week or two before that they caught a couple of moose rutting. And it's like, I don't want to deal with a male moose in rutting season while we've got our backs turned dealing with a fox that's messing around in the road. Like, it just seemed really chaotic.
Yep.
But that was amazing. So anyways, I guess I don't have anything else to say about wildlife. We could carry on about moose and pine martens.
Right.
God,
I mean,
so cute.
We saw wild turkey, but that kind of, pales in comparison.
It did, and that was after everything. That was after everything. It's like, oh, it's a turkey. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, kind of cool. We actually saw 4 or 5 turkey as we were driving down
after all that. Yeah. So anyways, what's next?
Next section.
Cross-country skiing. So they do have cross-country trails. We haven't done them. The first time we stayed at Algonquin last year was enough to convince us to buy skis for this year. We didn't bring them because we didn't think there'd be any snow. So I don't think it's really set up for it right now anyway.
I don't think it would be good.
But so we can't really talk about the cross-country skiing yet.
Other than it's available.
It's available.
We will update in the future.
Yeah, they have a snow report section on their website, on the Ontario Parks website, that you can check for trail conditions. So snowshoeing we can update on because last year we went after I bought snowshoes on a lark for a Black Friday sale. That was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. So we went snowshoeing on the lake here at Mule Lake Campground.
Yeah, and this was out the back of our campsite. So we basically walked to the back of our campsite, strapped our snowshoes on, and just walked across the lake. That was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. We didn't know how thick the ice was, so we stayed pretty close to the shore. We could see where people had gone further into the lake. I wasn't adventurous enough, and I wasn't going to try to drill and figure out how deep it was. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm having a blast by the shore. I'm good.
We also had no idea what we were doing because, like, I don't know about you, but I had not done snowshoeing since I think grade 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think it was grade 6 for me. So
so it was like, let's put these on and mess around, and it was great, especially where there's no one there. There wasn't like a formal trail or anything. It's not like we were in anyone's way and trying to figure it out. So that was nice. And it was just kind of magical too, because there was no one around, like we had this whole lake to ourselves. We didn't see people anywhere in any direction. And it was kind of lightly snowing. It was just beautiful, I think a lot of Algonquin can be summed up by, like, in the winter, just magical experience,
Right.
Then we went snowshoeing at the Spruce Bog Boardwalk Trail.
Yep.
The boardwalk. And, that was nice. It's really long if you haven't done snowshoeing before, and I learned the hard way that you should probably work your hamstrings before you do it. So our problem was we walked on the lake the day we got there, and we thought, this is really cool. This is really easy. We can do this. The next day there was new snow, and I didn't realize that, and it's probably bad technique on my part too, but if there's fresh snow that you can kind of end up scooping it up, and then you're lifting way more weight up, and I destroyed my hamstrings on that trip.
See, for me, I could feel the burn on my shins because of that lifting up action. It was just, and I was okay from it, but it was a workout for me that I wasn't expecting.
So definitely, I would say if you're going to do the 1.5 kilometers, kind of know what you're doing more than we did. I think maybe we should have looked into. Like, it's one thing if you're kind of screwing around with technique and you're like, oh, I can walk like this, instead of being like, okay, make sure that you don't scoop snow up and whatever. So we probably should have looked into that. That was my bad. Ice skating.
Ice skating is really cool here. They set up the rink at the comfort station. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
They've got lights overhead.
It's such a cute environment. Like,
it's
so cute. So they get Christmas lights over it, draped over it. and then there's this little shack off to the side for warming up. And there's an Algonquin. This is the first time we saw one of the park branded
Fire pits.
So they've got like a fire pit going, and it's just the whole scene was magical. If you are a figure skater like I am, the ice was not great. I think you did okay. The problem is I've got free skate, like I've got nice free skate blades that have a very narrow radius on them. So not much of my skate touches the ice at a time, and that's so that you can spin, right? When it comes to really bumpy ice like that, it's terrifying on nice skates. So if you have Canadian Tire skates, you're going to be fine. If you have really, short radius figure skates, it's going to be an adventure. But it was magical. Like I couldn't do anything, but it was, just the lights everywhere and the fire and just the whole environment was beautiful.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun.
Just ice princesses beware. So ice fishing is not allowed in the park, we should mention. They don't allow any fishing at all in the winter. It has something to do with the fish seasons, I guess. So, dog sledding.
We did get to see dog sleds right in the middle of New Lake Campground last year. It surprised us all of a sudden. We kind of heard some commotion and looked out and was like, oh, there's a dog sled going right down the road.
Yep. It was very cute. So I know you can bring your own dog sleds, but there's also like companies that offer dog sledding experiences in the park. We don't know anything about that, but that seems really cool.
They looked like they were having a blast, and
it was so cute.
I had a blast watching them.
There's a little bit of surreal moment to like go out of your campsite and there's a dog sled going by. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the beginning, but like we live in Hamilton and it's the tropics. Like we do not really see winter in Hamilton. We can't do a backyard rink because we don't get enough cold to freeze a rink in Hamilton. So to be camping and a dog sled goes flying by is amazing. So
definitely a lot of fun.
Super cute. Discovery program is not, I believe it's not even open in the winter. I think it's not really necessarily limited to the summer, but I think they definitely close it down after like Thanksgiving. Niantic Games.
So with the connectivity issues, you could have a little bit of trouble if you're going to try to like do an event or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just looking for your dailies or just kind of want to play a little bit, the visitor center is the place to be. Logging Museum also has a lot of portals there, so I think we had decent connection out there.
Yeah, we had good connection at the Logging Museum. So if you want to go for a walk and hit a bunch of like portals, Pokestops, gyms, whatever, it's a good option. If you want to just sit in your car and play, the visitor center is where you want to go.
Yes.
Okay, so that was our stay. That was quite the stay for being a last minute trip and no planning at all. That was one of our top camping trips ever, winter or otherwise, right?
Absolutely. The wildlife was just amazing here, and the views of just the snow everywhere, just the light snow, right? It wasn't too difficult to get through. It was just amazing and beautiful.
The funny thing though is the whole reason we came out was for Northern Lights. There were no Northern Lights at all, and we had kind of made peace with that on the way in, saying we've got this slim opportunity chance. The weather's not looking great. Numbers aren't looking amazing anymore. So we'll just take it as we're going to have some time with nature and we'll be good with it. And we didn't bring our snowshoes and we didn't bring our skis and left our skates at home. We basically were completely unprepared for this trip and we still had a blast.
Absolutely. Now, the weather was perfect for us. So to be fair, as part of the final thought, we should talk about, what if the weather hadn't been perfect? Would we still have been happy? And to me, yes, there's, even though we happen to hit the perfect lottery of all this wildlife, there's so much wildlife in the area that you can really expect to find something around in general, even if, you didn't get everything that we did.
Okay, but pine martens.
The pine martens.
The pine martens and the moose. Oh my God. Those pine martens, though, I kind of wish we'd take one home because so cute. Anyway, no, I think we did, aside from not really having enough food to extend it, had things gone worse because the weather was looking like there was capable that we might wake up this morning and be stuck.
Yeah.
With only like maybe an extra days of food. like aside from that, this was fantastic. Like it would have been nice if we brought our snowshoes. I
Yeah.
think we might have been able to use them. Maybe not though.
We definitely didn't
You
need
know.
them.
Didn't need them, but I mean, like when we drove up and we saw all the snow, because we weren't prepared for the snow at all. Like we drove up and we're like, oh, maybe they'll have some snow. Maybe we'll get some snow, and then it's this gorgeous winter wonderland.
Yeah.
Like we cannot underscore how gorgeous this trip was. Like, and I'm sure the video and photos aren't even going to do it justice. Like, it's just this magical, every bit of it. Like whether it was driving to the garbage bins,
Yeah.
or like going on the hikes. It was like walking in like a Christmas card.
Yeah, in particular when the sun would come out and just light up all the trees and everything. It's just amazing.
There were points where the trees and the light and the water looked like AI. Like it just looked so perfect and fake. It was just spectacular. And there's no way that's going to come through on photos. Just I know camping's supposed to be a summer thing, but like when you've got an RV, I feel like it's so much better in the winter.
Absolutely.
I'm not a people person, so like the fact that we were able to get 3 days worth of a waterfront campsite in the winter on like 2 hours notice is amazing.
Yeah.
You can't do that in the summer, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And so when you combine everything, how they maintain the roads and everything very well, it's a beautiful area, tons of wildlife, lots of trails around. It's just a winner.
It is. I love Algonquin so much.
Winner.
Winter winterland.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we had just a fantastic trip. Like between the weather and the scenery and the moose and we didn't get much in the birding though. That's the only thing. But like seeing the beaver a couple times and finally seeing pine martens. We'd never seen a pine marten before. That was amazing. We've been looking to see a moose forever. This is our first time in Ontario seeing one.
Yep.
And I mean, that was amazing. And the weather was really good. I mean, it was freezing, but it wasn't like freezing, like it was technically freezing.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
A few degrees below zero the entire trip. Totally manageable. Not a problem at all.
Yeah. I don't know how the tent campers are doing it. I say, oh, winter camping. We don't really winter camp. We winter RV, but
yeah,
there's people out in their tents here. More power to them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, love it. So, as a final thought, it's definitely 100%. Well, you know what? No, I don't recommend camping here. And I think you guys should stay away from the waterfront sites because they're terrible.
Come on.
No, I feel like it's kind of dumb it seems like we're giving away our little secret, peaceful.
I mean,
there's no one here.
It's Algonquin. It's not much of a secret.
Well, I know, but I mean, I don't know that people know that you can get a waterfront site on 2 hours notice and.
All right. Well, here's the hot tip. You got the gossip right here. Now you've learned.
The hot gossip. Oh, you're so basic. Do you want me to get you a PSL so you have your pinky out while you're talking about the hot gossip, Porter?
Yes, please.
Oh, my God.
I will admit it. I will own it. I'm there.
You'll own it. Okay, cool.
No, it's not for everyone, like you're saying. You got to be prepared. But if you are prepared, if you do have the RV with the heat and everything, these are all electric campsites here. So there's plenty of energy. It's the way to go.
Totes my goats.
On that note, check out the blog for lots more photos and all this information in a nice coherent format.
You're being very generous there.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, for sure. Definitely. I love it here. Please don't take our spots. We're going to have 2 posts now for this because we have a Mew Lake review as it is, but we're doing a winter specific one because the park, it's between summer and winter is a completely different experience. So I think the winter camping in Algonquin needs to be its own thing. So
definitely.
Yes. Anyways, it is probably 5 below right now, and I'm sure Porter would like to go and warm his basic hands up.
Yep.
With his pinky out on his PSL.
All right.
So yeah.
Until next time.
Next time. Check it. Like and subscribe. We're so organized.